Genesis 49, verse 29 through the end of the book. 71 devotions in this series so far, and now we're just at the end of Genesis. And if you've made it this far, I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for investing time in God's Word. And maybe not every day, but hopefully most days, you've received something of value to reflect on and look to apply. Thank you for those of you who've encouraged me by commenting on how it's been helpful, or just simply that you're even viewing these things. As long as a few are being blessed by this, it is truly worth it to me. And I want to encourage you to share these devotionals with others of what God is saying to you. It doesn't have to be what myself or Mike or David are saying to you, but what God is impressing on you through His Word and your reflections on it. Again, it doesn't have to be sharing this video. Share with others what God is saying to you. So today we come to the close of Genesis and to the close of Jacob and Joseph's life, setting up where the narrative will pick up 430 years later in Exodus. Jacob, after 17 years, dies in Egypt. But before he passes, he asks to be buried with his grandparents, Abraham and Sarah, and with his parents, Isaac and Rebekah, in the only land their family owns in the Promised Land, that field and the cave. Joseph goes to carry out his father's wishes, and Pharaoh honors Joseph and Jacob by not only granting his request, but sending a delegation with Joseph. I should also mention that historically I learned that the time of mourning for a pharaoh in Egypt was 72 days. If a pharaoh died, you had to mourn, however that looked, flags at half-mast or whatever the cultural equivalent would have been, for 72 days. Notice the text says that Egypt mourned Joseph's father for 70 days. That's incredible as just an honor, and shows how Joseph was revered and viewed by the people and by Pharaoh. But now, with the patriarch dead, their father dead, the 10 brothers who had betrayed Joseph, they're nervous. Is now the time where Joseph will take revenge? Has he just been holding off because dad's around to see what he might do? And so they come up with a message to take to Joseph, say, Dad said, go easy on us. Dad said, don't take revenge. But Joseph doesn't have any taste or heart for revenge. Why? How? I've already talked about this before, but it's worth saying it again. Chapter 50, verse 20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. In other words, God was with me. God is with me. Joseph trusted no matter his circumstances, God was with him. And because God was with him, he was blessed. And Joseph would continue to look to bestow that favor and privilege and blessing. He took the responsibility seriously of representing God. And so he's not going to take revenge on his brothers, because it wouldn't be right. Genesis closes with the descendants of the blessing, descendants of the promises of God in Egypt, not the Promised Land. Joseph dying, but his confidence is that God would return the people to the Promised Land one day in the future. And so he asks, when y'all leave, when the family leaves, take my bones with you. And so Genesis ends with the story, the narrative, incomplete. How would God return his people to the Promised Land? How would God fulfill the promises to Abraham and the promise to Adam and Eve to make things right, not just for his people, but for the world? The next stages of those questions and the answers that come, we'll begin to see in the book of Exodus. But that's next week. So for today, here's a thought and then the blessing. Our lives are in an incomplete state right now. we're also in the middle of a story where there's tension and conflict and there's questions that we have and there's waiting for fulfillment. Remember, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, of Moses and David and Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Daniel and Micah and Ruth and Naomi and all of the people that we will see in the Old Testament who remained faithful to God, that God is faithful to you and he is with you. May that encourage you today. And so may the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And today, would you know his peace? God bless.